Hey guys, it's Lemming Rush. Today we're going to be taking a look at an absolutely phenomenal game played on the map Lakeville. Now, Lakeville is one of the most challenging maps to play in World of Tanks simply because of the way it's designed. So what we're going to be trying to accomplish today with this video is to try to figure out how this guy got lucky and what type of things you can do that he did that you can actually replicate in your games on this map, so you can have a better time when you're playing on Lakeville. But before we get into that, a message from our sponsor. Today's sponsor is Massdrop. Massdrop is an online retailer with a bunch of sub-communities that are dedicated to finding good prices for good quality products. Personally, I'd suggest taking a look at their audiophile sub-community. They've got a bunch of awesome headphones for really good prices, such as AKG K7XXs, and they're also selling a Sennheiser PC37X gaming headset for $120. So if you're in the market for a new headset or just want to check out Massdrop's various sub-communities, you can do so with the link down below. Which brings us to Lakeville. Now this player here, I have no clue how to pronounce his name. I'm going to take a leaf out of Jingles' book and call him Dave, is bringing his Object 430U to the city on this map. Now, a lot of people play the city incorrectly, or at least after watching this guy play, they play the city incorrectly. They'll play really passively on the city, and what this Object 430U is going to do to make the city safe and viable, because generally what happens when you play the city, you get sniped by TDs, is he's going to push up extremely aggressively. Now, if you took a look at the enemy team lineup as this game started, you'll notice that they've got a Panzerkampfwagen 7 who was spotted. Well, he's now spotted on the one line, but if you took the look at the enemy team lineup, you'd know that they had a Panzerkampfwagen 7, and generally Panzerkampfwagen 7s come to the city. So him playing where he did in the city is extremely aggressive, and once he notices that the Panzerkampfwagen 7 and a bunch of other heavies are spotted on the 2 line, he's going to be even more aggressive. Now, this is okay because of the vehicle that he's in and because of the matchmaking that he's against. If you were in a Leopard 1, for example, this play would not work, but he's able to make it happen because he's in an Object 430U. I'd imagine a similar tank to this, like an M48 Patton or an E50M, would be able to play extremely similarly. So he pushes up, he finds the K-line camping position. There's always a bunch of heavy tanks who snipe here. This play worked because it's very common for people to just sit in K8 and snipe, and then once you get to this rock that this guy's hull down behind, he's able to just fight hull down against this VK1000 and whatever the hell it's called, P. And that guy has no chance. If this guy was in a tier 10 tank, likewise, again, he would have no chance because Dave here is hull down in his 430U and there's nothing they can do about it. Now, he pushes across this gap here. TDs shoot at him. He was very lucky he didn't get penned by any of the TDs. That is something you would have to worry about if you were making this push. He's going to once again be against tier 8 tanks, and he's just going to be able to drive right into him. An RHM hits him relatively soon, and that's going to give him information as to how many campers are in the base. Now, the interesting thing here is how he deals with it. There's a bush right in front of him, and that's going to keep him unspotted from the UDIs and whatever as he shoots at them. He's going to be able to use that bush. The RHM shoots at him and bounces, and because he doesn't want to be relying on the bush to shoot at multiple TDs who are sniping at him, he's actually going to drive forwards through this dip here, and that seems to be how to push into the base on Lakeville. So this divot, or whatever it's called, the trench I guess I'll call it, allows you to get hull down into the enemy's positions and then shoot at them from a hull down location. He just passes through it and he ends up brawling the Scorpion G or whatever. But if I was in this type of situation, I'd just sit hull down in that trench and shoot at people depending on the amount of support I have. He's able to make this play because his IS-7 was so aggressive. I imagine the IS-7 just drove across the middle road like a quality player. Now, in his position right here, it's very common for enemies to come back to base. The enemy sent the majority of their team to the valley. So what's going to happen to Dave as he's playing this location is he's going to find himself in a crossfire if that RHM plays it reasonably well, and the RHM isn't, so he's not actually in a crossfire. But what Dave does is he leaves this position to go to another position that I like to take when pushing into the enemy base. So what you can do from this location, I don't know how to describe it other than say it's like J4 roughly speaking, is you can get hull down and support whichever teammates you have in the IS-7's location. Now the IS-7 has certainly overcommitted, but what generally you'd be supporting people in the RHM's position. Now he's going to be able to get hull down using this RHM for cover. That allows him to put shots into the Foch, and if you take a look at the map here, you'll notice they've got like 6 tanks pushing into Dave's position. The IS-7 dies, and now he's alone against a 6 versus 1. So that's the main thing that I wanted to highlight in this replay. The second he realized he was going to get YOLO'd, he fell back. Now, the question is, where is he falling back to? Well, the way he's running away gives this Skoda side shots on the T-54 and the Karn, and he's also driving enemies towards the Scorpion G who's supporting him. So this position, or the route that he's taken to fall back, is really good because it gives two teammates the ability to shoot at the enemies. Now the Skoda dies, and now Dave here is in a position where he's getting pushed by a Karn, a Flosh, and a bunch of other tanks that are in his base that are likely to YOLO him, and he's only got a Scorpion G for support. So what he's going to do is he's going to work on this Scorpion G who's pushing into him. There's also going to be a Foch that appears relatively soon. His teammate Scorpion G sitting at A7 or whatever is basically supporting him, and that's why this position works out. He has support. Now you'll notice that Dave decides not to YOLO into the Foch or anything right here. He decides to fall back. That's because he is doing this on purpose. He's using the Scorpion G's support to try to keep him alive. That is a Scorpion G, right? Yeah, it is a Scorpion G. I'm pretty sure it's a Scorpion G. Now, he's brawling against the Karn. There's nothing really to commentate on that. He does get hit by a Scorpion, which kind of gives him an idea of where the Scorpion is. So he's going to be able to back off and sort of hide from the Scorpion and prevent the Scorpion from shooting at him while he engages the Karn and whoever else he's going to engage. Now you can see his TD still has supporting shots on the Carnivore, and then as he goes up for the finishing shot on the Karn, the Foch gets lit. So the way he approaches this is really, really intelligent. He backs up, he gets hull down to this Foch. The Foch is going to put a shot into his gun. He repairs his gun, and he's in a hull down location where he can very easily deal with the tanks in front of him. So that's the utility in this position, and he did this, he was able to find this position simply because he pushed into the enemy's base and then ran through the middle road, and the middle road gives him a lot of quality shots when there aren't enemies sitting in the K7 sniping position. So because he cleared that out, he's able to use the middle road to run away, and that's why this position works. So really good tactical play by him. I don't know if that was on purpose, but it works out. He moves up to get the finishing shot on the Carnivore, and the Scorpion G, YOLOs across the field. He's able to put a shot into that guy, and now he's in this situation where, well, there's a bad shot pushing into his base. There might also be a Panzerkampfwagen 7, and he's got to deal with 2 one-shots in front of him. So he looks for the finishing shot on this Karn. That one goes above the Karn and misses. Don't ask me how. He was aiming perfectly. The circle was just too large and he got unlucky. He's going to take another shot here. He doesn't get the kill. Once again, it looks like it goes over the Karn. And at this point in time, he notices that the Panzerkampfwagen 7 and the Batchat have pushed into his ISU 152. So simple mathematics, the ISU is not going to win a 2 versus 1, especially when the Panzerkampfwagen 7 has a ton of HP. The RHM, which we don't know where he is right now, manages to kill the Scorpion G, which implies the RHM is sitting on the B3-ish corner, roughly speaking. So what he's going to do is, Dave here is actually going to turn around all the way, and he's going to prevent himself from getting stuck in a crossfire. The enemy is about to cap out, and so he runs away from the Karn and decides to fight the Panzerkampfwagen 7 and the ISU, and the Batchat, and he's going to have to, deal with the situation he's found himself in. The Karn moves up, puts a shot into his rear, and what he's going to do here is he's going to drive forward, which prevents the Karn and the RHM from shooting at him while he deals with this Panzerkampfwagen 7. So effectively, by pushing into this Panzerkampfwagen 7, he's creating a 1v1 with himself where he's not fighting multiple enemies at once. Now right here, he loads HE for the Panzerkampfwagen 7. I would have considered that to be a bit of a risk, but it works out. It makes sense. He's able to kill the Panzerkampfwagen 7, and now he's in a 1v1 situation with the Batchat, who sort of delayed his YOLO, and, he's able to just one-shot the Batchat. So now Dave finds himself in a situation where he's against 2 tanks directly in front of him. He kills the Karn, and then he's going to make a really, really good play right here. The problem is he's a 2-shot, and if you look at where the Scorpion G was last spotted, the Scorpion G is likely to be moving up to B0. At least if I was in Dave's position, that's where I would expect the Scorpion G to go. The Scorpion G is not going to be sitting at J7, J8 the entire game. He's going to be moving up. So what Dave decides to do is he decides to fall back. Now this is a really good play because he's once again creating a 1v1. If the enemy wants to push into him, if the enemy wants to cap out, he's going to be able to deal with that from this corner here. And in my opinion, it's a perfect play. Now, he does make a very interesting play right here because I would have assumed the Scorpion G would go to B0, but at the same time, one of the possible plays that the Scorpion G could have made is to push the 2 line. So this position allows him to check the 2 line, but he's going to face the north. So let's just assume the Scorpion G isn't the greatest player because it's very common for TDs to not be great players. What could happen to Dave as he sits in this position is he could get flanked by a Scorpion G who's pushing the 2 line, trying to flank him, which is very common for mobile vehicles to try to do. Now, Dave is going to sit here. He's not going to be the one who pushes into 2 TDs as a one-shot, and eventually what's going to happen is that the enemy team is going to get on cap. So the enemy team gets on cap, that kind of forces his hand, but the thing is he's a 2-shot and he's dealing with multiple TDs in front of him. So what he's going to do, because he knows there's 2 people on cap, is he's going to be able to tentatively pull forwards and remain hull down while trying to find them. Now obviously they're in the very common position. He tries to get the kill shot on the Scorpion G, and then the RHM is able to put a shot into him. That was a reasonable attempt in my opinion. If he had killed the Scorpion G, it would have been very easy for him to win the game from there. The Scorpion G makes it easy for him and just drives in front of his loaded gun, and now he's in this situation where he's a 1-shot and he's got a 2-shot RHM in front of him, and he's got 11,600 damage or whatever it is. So how do you deal with a situation like this? This is one of those situations that generally requires a bit of luck, because here the RHM obviously can just drive out, take a hit, and then kill Dave right here. And that would be a very easy win for the RHM to make. So what Dave decides to do is he decides to side scrape in his medium tank from this position. This is a position that you can use when you're trying to defend the cap. It works really well. And he basically shows you exactly how to use that. So he's side scraping here. He's looking for shots on the RHM. He gets unlucky a couple times. Both of those shots miss. And what he does after he shoots is he drives forwards. That forces the RHM to leave his cover if he wants to shoot at Dave. So he's actually making a really good play. He manages to put a shot into the side of the RHM right there, and instead of rushing him like the RHM should do, the RHM just stays safe. So now David is in a situation where they're both 1-shots. He's got time. He's got more than a minute to reset the cap, and this RHM kind of doesn't really have anything he can do. He can just continue hugging the cover, and Dave is going to be able to continue to just look for shots right there, and he gets the 9th kill. So that's more or less how Dave won this game. He ended up playing really, really well. I did notice that he was shooting pure heat, which normally I don't feature replays that feature pure heat spam, but in my opinion, the game was played fine. A lot of the vehicles that he shot at, he could have penned without heat anyways. So it's like, to me, he was just wasting credit. So in my opinion, that doesn't really take away from the replay. I figured that the way he used his positions and the way that he used the map and what he did, like, his plays allowed him to use positions in the future of the game that he wouldn't have been able to otherwise. And so I figured that's really useful to show. Like, I think the way to play Lakeville now after watching this replay is to be aggressive in the city, win the city, and then just sort of push into the enemy base. And if you can't push into the enemy base and you get YOLO'd, you run down the middle road and then sort of deal with the situation as it arises from there. So I'm going to start doing that when I play on Lakeville. I hope you will too. Let's go take a look at the end plates. All right, so heat spam aside, as far as the end plates go, this guy got a mastery badge. It'd be amazing if he didn't get a mastery badge with 12,287 damage. He also got a Radley Walters, a Kolobanov's, a Defender, a Steel Wall, and a High Caliber, as well as, of course, a Top Gun, because he did get the Radley Walters. So that was 12,287 damage. No one else on his team did their HP by the looks of it, which is fucking impressive. I mean, Artie did his HP, but Artie does not count. So no one on his team did his hit points. He absolutely carried the rest of his team, which is absolutely amazing. He ended up losing 39,000 credits. He was using a personal reserve, so it would have been 39,000 plus 75,000 as to, you know, what he lost. So yeah, he spent a ton on ammunition, 215,000. That's his choice. I'm not going to take away from that. I thought he played positionally very well, and then some of his aiming stuff was, I'm just not going to mention it. So yeah, huge thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to see more, be sure to hit the like and the subscribe button as well. If you want to get notified of my videos when they go live, you can do so by hitting the bell button, which is located right next to the subscribed button. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Bye for now.